Hi, I'm Lucy. 6 months ago, my husband David died in a car accident, and I'm still trying to figure out how to live in a world without him. We were married for 12 years, high school sweethearts who actually made it work. David loved two things in this world: me and cars. That second love turned into David's auto shop, the garage he built from nothing with his business partner, Greg. "You should come by the shop sometime," Greg said at the funeral, his arm around his wife, Melissa. "We need to talk about what happens next." I couldn't think about the garage then, but last week I finally drove over there. The familiar smell of motor oil and coffee hit me as I walked in. "Lucy, good to see you." Greg gave me a hug that lasted a second too long. "I've been meaning to call. Things have been complicated since David passed." "I bet. That's actually why I'm here. I've decided to sell the garage." His eyebrows shot up. "Sell? Well, I'd like to buy David's half, of course, but money's tight right now. Market value might be difficult." "I'm just going to clear out his office first," I said, moving past him. David's office was exactly as he left it. Coffee mug still on the desk, jacket hung on the back of his chair. I started boxing up his things, fighting back tears when I found his favorite wrench in the desk drawer. "Need help with anything?" Melissa appeared in the doorway, makeup perfect as always. "I'm good. Just going through his stuff." Greg and I were thinking, maybe $50,000 for David's half. We know it's worth more, but with the economy... I nodded absently, pulling open the file cabinet. That's when I found it. A folder labeled Evidence in David's handwriting. After Melissa left, I opened it. Inside were spreadsheets, bank statements, and photocopied checks. According to these records, Greg had been skimming money for years. Over $300,000. My hands shook as I dug deeper. There was a handwritten note. "Confronted Greg today. He denied everything. Says he'll make it right. Not sure I believe him. Meeting again Tuesday." Tuesday. The day before the accident. My phone rang, startling me. My best friend Rachel. "How's it going at the garage?" "You need to come here. Now." My voice sounded strange even to me. What's wrong? "I think Greg might have had something to do with David's death." "What? Are you serious?" "There are financial records showing he's been stealing from the business, and David confronted him the day before the accident." "Don't say anything to anyone. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hung up and stared at the files in my hands. The grief that had hollowed me out for months was filling with something else now. Something hot and sharp. My husband wasn't just taken from me by bad luck. Someone might have taken him. And if that was true, I wasn't going to rest until they paid. I hid the folder in my purse just as Rachel burst through the door of David's office, breathless from rushing over. "Show me everything." She pushed her dark curls away from her face and leaned over the desk as I spread out the documents. "Look at these withdrawals. All made by Greg. All without proper paperwork. And this?" I pointed to a series of checks. "David wrote these to vendors, but they never got cashed. Instead, similar amounts went into Greg's personal account." Rachel whistled. "This is serious money, but why not just go to the cops? What if they don't believe me? What if this isn't enough? I need more." I lowered my voice. "I need to catch him saying something incriminating." "So what's the plan?" "I'm going to play dumb. Just a grieving widow who doesn't understand business. Let him think I'm desperate to sell." The next morning, I put on my most conservative outfit and met Greg at the local diner. I dabbed at my eyes with a tissue periodically. "I just don't know what to do with the garage, Greg. It's all so overwhelming." He patted my hand. "I understand, Lucy. That's why my offer makes sense. Quick, clean, you walk away with cash." "But David always said the business was worth at least $500,000. Greg's smile tightened. "Maybe before the pandemic. Look, I'll be straight with you. The place is struggling. David wasn't exactly a financial wizard. I've been keeping it afloat." "Really?" "The books I found showed pretty good profits." His eyes narrowed for a split second. "What books exactly?" "Oh, just some statements in his desk. I didn't really understand them." I forced a helpless laugh. Numbers were never my thing. Those are probably outdated. Listen, I can go to 60,000, but that's my final offer. And you need to decide soon. I've got another investor interested. I'll think about it. After leaving the diner, I drove straight back to the garage. I remembered David mentioning security cameras he'd installed himself. He was always paranoid about theft. The recorder would be in his private storage room. I used my key to enter through the back door when no one was around. The small room was cluttered with parts and tools, but I knew where to look. Behind a stack of tires, I found the digital recorder. I took it home and connected it to my laptop. Hours of footage. I skimmed through, day by day, approaching the date of the accident. And then I saw it. Greg in the garage bay late at night, working on a car. David's car. He was underneath, doing something to the brake line. Then Melissa walked in. Hurry up. Someone might come by. Nobody's coming at midnight. Besides, it'll just look like an accident. Bad maintenance. Ironic for a mechanic, right? And after we get it all? The insurance? The garage? Everything. His little wifey won't know what hit her. I watched as they laughed together, my stomach turning to ice. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my phone as I called Rachel. I found it. Proof. They killed him. They killed David. Oh my God. What are you going to do? I'm not going to the police. Not yet. First, I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to make them confess. How? I'm going to set a trap, and I know exactly how to do it. I met Detective Parker at a coffee shop across town. He was a stocky guy with salt and pepper hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. I reviewed what you sent me, Mrs. Wilson. The financial records are definitely suspicious, but not enough for an arrest. What about the video? They literally discussed killing my husband. Detective Parker leaned forward. The video quality is poor. Their faces aren't always clear, and a good defense attorney could argue it's been tampered with. We need a confession. So you'll help me? Off the books, yes. What you're suggesting is risky. But if we do it right, we can nail them both. We spent the next hour planning every detail. I'd invite Greg and Melissa to my house to sign the sale papers, agreeing to their lowball offer. The police would set up recording equipment beforehand. Don't push too hard, Detective Parker warned. Let them get comfortable. Let them brag. Trust me, Greg's ego won't let him resist. The next day, I called Greg. I've thought about your offer. I'll take the 60,000. That's great news, Lucy. Smart decision. Can you and Melissa come by my place tomorrow night to sign the papers? I'll have some wine ready. Absolutely. We'll celebrate your new beginning. My new beginning. If he only knew. Detective Parker and 2 technicians arrived early the next day, setting up hidden cameras and microphones throughout my living room. They showed me how the recording system worked. We'll be parked down the street. Press this button on your phone if you need us to come in. Otherwise, we'll wait until you've got the confession. At exactly 7, the doorbell rang. Greg and Melissa stood there with fake smiles and a bottle of cheap champagne. Come in, I've got everything ready. I led them to the living room where papers were spread across the coffee table. Greg glanced at the documents. This all looks good. Smart choice, Lucy. Before we sign, I have to ask, why are you buying David's half so cheap when the business is doing so well? Melissa shot Greg a warning look, but he laughed. Like I said, the business isn't doing that great. That's weird, because according to these bank statements, you've been taking out almost $20,000 a month. Greg's smile vanished. Where did you get those? David's office, along with a note saying he confronted you about it the day before he died. Quite a coincidence, huh? Melissa stood up. We should go. Did David threaten to expose you, Greg? Is that why you tampered with his brakes? You don't know what you're talking about. But his face had gone pale. It must have been so easy. The trusted business partner working late on the car. No one would suspect a thing. It was supposed to be a quick death, Greg snapped. He wasn't supposed to suffer. But the self-righteous bastard just had to confront me about the money. Greg, shut up, Melissa hissed. No, I'm tired of hiding. Yes, I did it. I fixed his brakes to fail and I'd do it again. He was going to ruin everything we built. I smiled coldly and pulled out my phone. Thanks for the confession, Greg. His eyes widened in horror as Detective Parker and two uniformed officers stepped into the room. Gregory Miller, you're under arrest for the murder of David Wilson. As they put handcuffs on Greg and Melissa, the realization dawned on his face. He'd walked right into my trap. The trial lasted 3 weeks. I sat in the courtroom every day, watching Greg and Melissa squirm as the evidence mounted against them. The security footage, financial records, and their recorded confession left little room for doubt. When the jury foreman stood to deliver the verdict, I held my breath. On the count of first-degree murder, we find the defendant, Gregory Miller, guilty. Melissa got 18 years as an accomplice. Greg got life without parole. As they were led away, Greg looked back at me. I'm sorry, Lucy. I never meant for any of this to happen. I turned away without responding. After the trial, Rachel helped me clean out the garage. What are you going to do with this place now? I'm keeping it. David built this business from nothing. I'm not letting it die. You don't know anything about cars. I can learn, and I know everything about business from my old job. I hired 3 new mechanics, including Tony, who'd worked with David years ago. The place looks different, Tony said during our grand reopening. I'd repainted, replaced equipment, and hung a large portrait of David in the waiting area. Different owner, different vibe, but same commitment to honest work. Word spread quickly. Customers who'd left when Greg took over started coming back. I spent my days learning about engines and my nights studying accounting. 6 months later, profits were up 30%. Then the letter came, postmarked from state penitentiary. You gonna read it? Rachel asked as we sat in my office, staring at the envelope with Greg's handwriting. I don't need to hear his excuses. Maybe it'll give you closure. I tore open the envelope. Dear Lucy, not a day goes by that I don't regret what I did. David was my friend. I got greedy and made terrible choices. I understand if you can't forgive me, but I hope someday you'll find peace. Sincerely, Greg. I dropped the letter in the shredder without a second thought. That your closure? Rachel asked. My closure is the business thriving without him. The next week, I received an offer to expand to a second location. The investor, Marcus, was impressed with how I'd turned things around. Most people would have sold after going through what you did, Marcus said as we toured the potential new space. I'm not most people. Clearly, your husband would be proud. I paused, looking around the empty garage that could soon be mine. This isn't about making David proud anymore. It's about me building something for myself. Later that night, I visited David's grave for the first time in months. I placed fresh flowers and sat on the bench facing his headstone. I did it, babe. I got them, and I saved your garage. But I'm done looking backward now. As I walked away, I felt lighter. I hadn't forgiven Greg and Melissa. I never would. But their power over my life was gone. I had taken back everything they tried to steal from me and built something even stronger from the ashes. What do you think? Was Lucy right to shred Greg's apology letter without a second thought? Or should forgiveness be considered even for the worst betrayals? Would you have done the same in her position? If you enjoyed this revenge story, please hit the like button to help others find it too. Subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories about overcoming toxic people and finding strength in difficult situations. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective.